How many people have ever ridden a bike without wearing a helmet? Because the helmet's uncomfortable, you don't like the way it feels. Safety is often our number one priority up until it becomes too inconvenient or uncomfortable for us. As cyclists, we know we're supposed to wear a bike helmet, but in 97% of fatal bike crashes, the rider isn't wearing one. Why? Well, flexibility and comfort often come at the expense of stiffness and protection. And just like a cyclist before a ride, as engineers, we have to make similar design choices, balancing between the two. It's relatively easy for us to design a structure to be as stiff as possible, or to design a structure to be as flexible as possible. But when we try to optimize for both, we often end up making sacrifices or compromises. The main way we compromise is by choosing a stiffness value that's intermediate between the two that we hope works for both cases, but often this just doesn't cut it. My research asks, what if a single structure could adapt its behavior to meet both demands? I designed structures that could be configured in multiple different ways. Each configuration has its own mechanical property. By switching between these configurations, the same structure can go from stiff to flexible and back to stiff, depending on whatever the situation demands. So how do we do it? Well, I designed structures that are made out of tiny repeated mechanical elements, kind of like how Lego sets made out of repeated Lego blocks. Like Lego, I can pattern arrange these elements in billions of possible configurations, each with their own mechanical properties. But unlike Lego, these elements aren't rigidly locked into place. When I want the structure to behave differently, I don't have to disassemble it and rebuild it like with Legos. I can simply reconfigure it to another state. These reconfigurations happen quickly, taking only a fraction of a second, and we can design the structure to reconfigure in response to all sorts of external stimulus. A mechanical actuator can push or pull on it, or even the change in temperature or detection of fluid forces can cause it to reconfigure. And don't be fooled, these reconfigurations can have a big impact. So far, we've designed structures that can increase their stiffness up to 10 times using this reconfiguration principle. What this means is you can have a structure that in one state is compliant and flexible. It'll move with your body like a beanie hat. But in a fraction of a second, it can reconfigure into something that's rigid and stiff, like a bike helmet, no longer needing to sacrifice comfort for safety. What we hope is that these principles can be used to design structures that are comfortable and flexible when we want them to be, but rigid and protective when we need them to be. And stiffness isn't the only mechanical property we can optimize. The same principles can be applied to designing aircraft whose wings change shape based on cruising altitude to optimize fuel efficiency, or a wind turbine whose blades strengthen in response to wind gusts. Rather than designing structures for just one condition or one environment, we can design structures that adapt and respond to the changes in the environment. We can design structures that are built to last by, ironically, building them to change.